guys have Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackie and Judd on SKOR North and SKORNorth.com.
It's a Scoop Tuesday here. It's also a Reckless Speculation Turkey of the Year edition Tuesday on Minnesota Sports with Mackie and Judd. Our guy Darren Doogie Wolfson from the 5 Eyewitness News Sports Department is here with some inside information and some speculation about your favorite Minnesota sports teams. Happy Scoops Tuesday, Doogie. Welcome in.
Happy Tuesday, Phil. Good to see you, Judd. Hi, Declan. Yes, I suppose we haven't gone back and forth on the plan for Thursday, but I presume with the holiday, we are not doing a Reckless Speculation Thursday. So I have no issue if we combine Reckless Speculation Thursday with this Tuesday edition.
Make no mistake, I will be recklessly speculating at home on Thursday to Dawn and Stella.
Dark meat?
I have no doubt about that.
You will not, you can't get me. A little thing like Thanksgiving can't get me to do what Thursdays are made for. You know what? Turkeys once a year. Reckless speculation every single Thursday. So there will be, at least in the Zolgad house, reckless speculation run rampant with three football games.
I can just picture you on Thursday, Lazy Boy, Packers, Lions, into Cowboys, Commanders, into Seahawks, 49ers. You may not leave the Lazy Boy. Dawn will bring you a plate of food.
That's true. Will she bring you the plate of food, Jen?
No, she won't. But
It's time for some turkey.
Yep. Get me the turkey right now and a mimosa. Yeah, I probably won't be leaving. I probably won't leave the couch much. You are correct.
You drink mimosa? I think maybe more like a
No, it
beer
just sounds
mimosa for
good.
you. A beer mimosa.
No,
A
it just
surly
sounds
mimosa.
good. It's mimosa time. It sounds
time.
better than it's beer time. You see, you got to do what sounds
It's time
good.
for mimosas.
Get me one right now. Where's the champagne? See, that works.
Oh my gosh! So we will speculate on some turkey candidates here as we try to figure out what Royce's going to do for that column, mostly unsuccessfully over the years. But Doogie, Vikings lose a tough one on Sunday night. Trying to figure out if Justin Jefferson's coming back. You got an extra day to prepare for the Chicago Bears at home. So let's start with the running back situation here. What do you think prevents the Vikings from making Ty Chandler the number one running back on this team?
Well, you're right. I mean, Alexander Mattison, to me, is the ideal third down running back. Mattison is the better blocker. There is no debating, blocking-wise, Mattison versus Chandler. So there's some reluctance because of Ty's ability or lack thereof to fully block. Although he puts himself in pretty good position, maybe just doesn't hold a block like Mattison does. But in terms of explosiveness, yes. And I wasn't surprised. Like Chandler, when's the last time Chandler had 23 snaps? So he had 23 snaps on Sunday night. So I think this will be about the snap number moving forward, maybe even go higher. I don't think it's going down. So I think we'll continue to see good doses of Ty Chandler, but there is that reluctance when you still pass as often as they do. You need to have a running back capable of blocking. That Ty Chandler just isn't the blocker that Alexander Mattison is.
So here's what confuses me. I've been because everything that you said, Dukes, I basically agree with completely. And the one thing is, especially since Dobbs began to start, I give O'Connell credit because I feel like he's adjusted quite a bit going from, the Kirk, who is a pocket passer, to the mobile guy in Dobbs. But I was thinking about this more after the game, and I guess it's what confuses me a little bit. Because of the fact that Mattison strikes me as a poor man's, because he's not as good, Chester Taylor, because he's smart. He knows what he's supposed to do. Chester was incredibly smart as a player, and he was a better back. But why wouldn't you consider using more 22 personnel with Jefferson out? Have Ham in there in the old T-Rich role? Because, again, Ham is incredibly smart. And if you guys recall, during Peterson's rookie year, and Dukes, we both covered this, and so did Phil. Tony Richardson was incredibly bright. He literally would tell AP, follow me here, follow me there, and then take off, and I'm done. Ham has the same type of ability because he's not great, but he's smart. And, if you don't trust, if you think, and I have seen clips where people have said, and I think they're right, Chandler at times runs the picks the wrong hole. Like he doesn't know exactly what he's doing. He just can run and he's fast. Why wouldn't you consider that? Because as long as JJ's out, I don't have 3 receivers that I'm champing at the bit to play consistently. I'll play them, but like to me, this seems like an ideal to what you just said. Mattison, third down guy, because that requires blocking, but first and second down, 22 personnel.
Well, maybe we will. I mean, heck, entering the year, we were led to believe after they gave CJ Ham the new contract that, hey, they would find a way to get him a few more touches. He barely touches the ball. He's barely on the field. I mean, what's his snap count at? Like 10 a game, if that?
Yeah.
I mean, he's barely out there. So, yeah, I guess that's a wrinkle that absolutely we could see as soon as Monday night. You know, they like CJ. He is incredibly smart. That's a good comp. T-Rich was my guy. I loved Tony Richardson. Still to this day, one of my favorite people. So, yes, there is a comp there where CJ Ham is incredibly smart, that he could lead the way for Ty. Does that come at the expense, though, of Josh Oliver then being off the field? I mean, I guess I need to do the math in my head of 11 on the field.
Another receiver.
Okay, so you take a receiver off, so you could still go 2 tight ends, 2 receivers, fullback, running back. Do I have the math right there?
Yeah, it'd be 22 is 2 receivers, 1 tight end, and then 22 would be 2 tight ends, 2 running backs, 1 wide receiver on the field.
Right.
Okay, so I mean,
You could also run 21 and put 2 wide receivers on the field.
So I just don't know if KOC is willing to go quite that far. But I'm with you, Judd, by the way, on give KOC credit. Like, I didn't understand. And, hey, we can nitpick. Like, end of the first half on Sunday, 4th and inches. I'm going for that. Like, to me, it should have been 13-6 at the half. You needed, another 10 to 11 yards, 12 yards for Joseph to be in legit field goal range. It could have been 13-6. Next thing you know, it's 10-9 at the half. So I can nitpick stuff with KOC, but I still think he's a really, really good coach. Like, I think the play design on that 3rd and 19 to Ty Chandler, speaking of Chandler, I just thought the design of that play was brilliant. It set up that 4th and inches that they did go for. And God, I think Kevin O'Connell, the more I'm around him, the more you hear others talk about him, the Vikings absolutely nailed that hire. And I just didn't understand late Sunday into Monday, all the ripping of Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah, Judd.
I didn't think he had a good game, but I think he's a very good coach.
Yeah, it wasn't an ideal game, sure. I mean, if we're giving him a letter grade for Sunday, I mean, somewhere in that C-ish range. I mean, yes, we can go at him for specific things on Sunday.
But that doesn't make him bad.
But I still think there were some play designs that were really, really good, right? So, I think overall they nailed that hire.
Okay, Brian Flores is coaching his way right up toward the top of the head coach candidate list this coming off season. I mean, it is Vikings fans, Vikings coaching staff should have a real fear of him. The work that he's done to take one of the worst defenses in the league instantly, without a ton of like headline talent, with really only 1 true pass rusher healthy in Danielle Hunter, and by most measurements, this is a top 10 defense almost across the board. So I'm kind of looking now. I'm on covers.com and looking at the latest head coaching firing odds to see which jobs could be open. Most likely, we know the Raiders job. We'll see what happens with it. If Antonio Pierce keeps that team on track, he might just get that job. But
I think he might get that job. Yeah.
Brandon Staley. Brandon Staley's lashing out at report. Now I think they would be smart to go offensive-minded coach with Justin Herbert. But Ron Rivera and Washington on this list. There's been some steam about maybe trading for Bill Belichick. Frank Reich is apparently on a hot seat in Carolina, which is interesting because
they go offense too, though, don't they?
Yeah,
probably.
Bryce Young. You're not hiring a defensive
could Patriots trade Bill Belichick and replace him with Brian Flores, a former Bill Belichick assistant? Matt Eberflus is probably going to get fired
Tuesday. Don't you think if Bill Belichick ends up in Washington, that Mike Vrabel goes from Tennessee to New England? Then the Titans job is open, but with Will Levis, you would think they would go offensive-minded coach. Heck, I think Jim Harbaugh makes a lot of sense for the LA Chargers. Or some offensive-minded coach.
I love that idea.
What about Jim Harbaugh to the Bears?
Well, or that. Yeah.
Eberflus is, I'm sorry, that's not going to work. And are the Crafts going to hire another defensive guy? Or because of the issues on offense and a quarterback, and things have changed in a huge way, obviously, since Belichick got the job, with Patriots, would they go offense as well? I wonder if they would go Vrabel. I wonder if they would go Flores.
Yeah.
And actually, what might keep
Kraft and Vrabel are tight. Like, I just think if Belichick leaves, and I'm not saying it'll happen. I mean, Tennessee may say no way, no how. I don't care what you want, Mike. But I just think like the Patriots would pursue Mike Vrabel. I really do.
I wonder how high, and if let's say if a bunch of sort of secondary concerning head coaching jobs become, or a few become an opportunity for Flores, I think it's worth discussing how much of a check the Wolves would write though to keep him for a second season, because there's no reason to think, you guys, with his coaching acumen that like this defense is going to fall off the map in 24. If anything, it's probably going to be improved.
And he's young enough too. He's not that old.
And I know the Wolves make a ton, and I know people get on them, but like Dukes can attest to, they have never been afraid to write checks if they can. And to go back to what I've always said, and I was told this from my first day on the beat, the one place where there's no cap is coaching staffs. You can pay a coaching staff as much as you want, and no one can stop it. And we've seen this, you guys. Coaches make a difference. Like, this is not some like, what's the difference here? I mean, just look at Donatel, look at Flores. So I think there is a discussion to be had about, Doogie, what type of check the Wolves would write to Flores to at least keep him through 2024 and sort of see this thing through.
Yeah, I mean, they would write a big check. I have zero doubt about that. What about the elephant in the room? This lawsuit.
Oh, that's a good point.
I mean, heck, like, is there ever going to be full clarity, closure on that situation? Is there an ownership group willing to roll the dice on Flores with that still being a thing? Now, it's one thing to hire him as defensive coordinator. I don't know how far down the road. I never heard definitively how far down the road Arizona got. I mean, he was in that mix. They ultimately decided to go Jonathan Gannon. But, like, was Flores really, like, seriously, like, in that mix where they were considering making him a real offer to be their head coach? That I never was able to nail down. My sense was Gannon was the guy all along. But I just wonder. Now, I've thought about the new ownership group in Washington, right? That Flores, to me, he fits there. Now, do they just elevate the Bieniemy? I mean, I think Ron Rivera gets the axe, but would they just go with an offensive guy that they believe in, the young quarterback Sam Howell, and go that direction? But I thought with Josh Harris now running things in Washington, that if that job opens, that would be the one more than any other one that I would keep an eye on for Flores.
Here's something really interesting. I'm getting this from sportskita.com, so I'm not 100% sure. And I'm matching this with a report from NBC Boston. So the average coordinator in the NFL makes $1 million a year, offense, defensive coordinators. Vic Fangio is reportedly making $4.5 million as the defensive coordinator of the Dolphins said, okay, we got a new head coach. He's an offensive genius. Let's bring in a defensive head coach with a ton of pedigree, and let's make him the highest paid coordinator. Vic Fangio makes $4.5 million a year, which according to reports is more than Kevin Stefanski makes as head coach of the Browns. He makes $3.5 million. So here's my question to you guys. Let's say Flores makes a little over $1 million or something, right? He's probably on the higher end of the average. If the average is $1 million, my guess is Flores makes into the seven figures somewhere, but probably not Fangio money.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I don't know the exact number, but it's higher than, low seven figures. I can tell you that much. I mean, he changed representation along the way. I feel safe in saying it's not like 1 million. It's definitely north of 1 million.
So if you're Flores and if you're the Vikings, this has to be a mutual thing. You're already spending $220 million on your roster, right? So if you feel like Flores is a huge part of molding this roster, these young cornerbacks, et cetera, really it shouldn't be any sweat off the Wilf's brows to go, hey, let's go from $1.5 million to $4 million. Let's make it $4 million here. Let's keep you around. So if you're Flores and you can become essentially one of the highest paid defensive coordinators and make about as much money as the lowest paid head coaches, would you sign up for that, or would you rather take these jobs? You tell me, stay with the Vikings as a coordinator and get a big pay increase, or jump back into head coaching and take these jobs. Vikings or Commanders head coaching job?
I think he takes the Commanders head coaching job. Yeah.
I think it is too.
In that scenario, he takes the head coaching job. Yeah.
Vikings or Panthers head coaching job?
I think he takes the head coaching job.
Patriots head coaching job?
I think he takes the head coaching job.
Okay. Bears?
I think he takes the head coaching job.
I think you're probably going to say the same thing for Chargers and
Yeah.
Raiders.
I wouldn't take the Raiders job.
The Raiders, there's some
That's the only
flaws
one I
there.
wouldn't take.
I mean, how many
I
head
don't wanna
coaches
work
have
for
they
Mark
had in the
Davis.
last handful of years?
I don't
I'm
want
working
no.
for that weirdo. Yeah.
There's
Nope.
flaws
Look at that
there on the
haircut, dude. You
Raiders.
can't trust that guy.
No.
Yeah, I don't
nope.
know about the Raiders. All the other ones, yeah, I think he takes the job over staying here.
Yeah.
Do you guys think, though, for the most part of the jobs that Phil just ran through, the reality is he's probably going to, I would guess that if you have a defensive coach currently, for your next hire, just because of how this league works and the premium on quarterback development, I would guess you're going to be looking for an offensive guy. Like, I'm guessing Washington. I think your Bieniemy guess is more spot on. Now, if they get Belichick, that's a different thing. But if I'm looking at Brian Flores or Bieniemy, I probably like Flores more as a guy and a coach. But the fact that I had Ron Rivera, who was a defensive guy, I really think that this league's pretty predictable. And I feel like if you have a defensive coach in place now and you're going to blow that guy out, I don't think you're going to replace him with Brian Flores for the most part.
Maybe so. I just was thinking about the ownership group, forward thinking. Magic has his fingerprints right on that ownership group. Magic Johnson, right?
Yeah.
With Josh Harris. I just thought about that. But sure. Yes. I mean, we see it oftentimes, right? You go from a defensive-minded head coach to an offensive-minded head coach. So I understand that Bieniemy could logically make more sense. I mean, what other jobs are potentially open? Are we forgetting any?
I mean, let's go through it. Raiders going to be open. Raiders is open. Commanders likely open. Patriots, but they're going to have a plan. The Patriots are going to have a plan, right? And maybe he's part of that plan. Bears probably open. Chargers for sure open. Titans could be open.
What if the
Buccaneers
Cowboys
could
go
open.
one and done? What if the Cowboys go one and done and they get rid of Mike McCarthy?
That's a great one. McCarthy's always on the hot seat.
Yeah.
I mean, would they go Dan Quinn in-house, though?
Maybe,
Yeah.
potentially.
Jerry, so but Dukes, and we've talked about this extensively on the show before, and you brought this up, and it's a really, really interesting point, is I do think that if this lawsuit is not completed by January, which it ain't going to be, I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on a bunch of owners not to hire Flores until this is done. Now, Jerry Jones would be the type of guy to tell Goodell to take a hike. But I think that the majority of the teams, Josh Harris just got this job or just got the team in Washington. Is he really going to come in after he just got this team, right? He just bought it. He's new. Is he really going to come in and tell the commissioner, you know what? Of all the people I could hire, I'm hiring a guy who's suing our league. I don't think so.
Yeah, on the flip side,
Dukes is right.
Dallas would be Flores would be great in Dallas because you've got, you got a quarterback that's at least he's 30 years old. He's not one of the top 5 quarterbacks, but he doesn't need a lot of molding. Dak Prescott is who he is. He's like Kirk Cousins. An offensive guy could elevate him. Don't get me wrong, but imagine Flores taking Micah Parsons, those ball hawking secondary players in Dallas.
No, I don't want to imagine this.
I'm just saying, if you're Flores, that would be, and Dallas, it'd be a great marriage.
I refuse.
I'll give you another one. How much longer is Pete Carroll truly going to coach?
I was thinking that too.
I thought that 2 years ago, guys.
Dude.
I know. I thought
it fits Seattle's culture, defense. Yeah. I thought of it 6 years ago, just so you guys know.
Yeah.
I mean, the point is, Brian Flores is a freaking genius. I mean, the fact that Troy Dye, Jawan Williams, Anthony Barr played 12 snaps. Yeah. Right? These guys, right? We didn't know if Josh Metellus would be capable. And hey, I'm still upset that Metellus dropped that interception at the end of the first half.
Yeah.
Josh Metellus is good. Cam Bynum has taken another step forward this year, right? We weren't sure if he was fully capable. Well, now we know Cam Bynum is a rock solid player. You mentioned it. He's doing it with one pass rusher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brian Flores is an unbelievably brilliant coach.
Yep. Hey, before we move on here and speculate on Turkey of the Year candidates, Judd, let's talk about our favorite our second favorite Finch or our first favorite Finch?
No,
I
it's
think
my
it's 1A,
first
1B. I mean, Chris Finch is doing a great job. We love Cody Finch too.
Yeah, but you know what? Anyone can coach a basketball team. Not everybody can fix the electrical issues in your home, keep you safe, keep your family safe. I ask you, what's more important? And I'm going to tell you right now, it's the work that Cody Finch and my friends at Finch Home Solutions do. Fast, courteous, professional. They get the job done. And again, home electrical repairs are not DIYs. They're not something where you take a Saturday and say, I'm going to fix the electronics in my home. You're going to get the professionals out there. Big or small project. I'm talking about rewiring your entire home. I'm talking about putting an outlet in. Finch Home Solutions is going to take care of any issue that you need. And again, they're going to do it efficiently. They're going to be fast. And they'll even talk some purple with you and talk about purple daily if you so desire, because Cody's a huge Vikings fan. 612-357-2604. 612-357-2604. FinchHomeSolutions.com. FinchHomeSolutions.com.
Hey, Dukes, before we get to these Turkey of the Year candidates, do you have any idea when the NFL will announce the start time for Vikes-Bengals, start day end time for Vikings-Bengals? I know that's still Saturday, Sunday. The time is still flexed. Joe Burrow being injured. Like, if he was still healthy, I could see a case that probably would have been a primetime type of game on a Saturday, Sunday. But do you have any idea of when they plan to announce that game?
I hear you, Declan, because the big Hubbard holiday party is
My
Saturday
birthday the day
night,
before.
December 16th.
I got a lot of things that weekend, okay?
There's a lot of stuff
This
going
is a selfish
Yes.
Declan question.
Selfish
here,
scoops question, yes.
Is it possible Vikings-Bengals is the same night as the big party? And yeah, we'll find out about 12-ish to 13 days prior. So it won't be this week. We should find out middle to late next week, maybe even into kind of that weekend of December 2nd, December 3rd. But yeah, 12, 13-ish days out. Now, if I recall the other 4 games that are up in the air, there isn't much sexiness there, right? Like Vikings-Bengals is still the best of the 5. Do you have the list in front of you?
I don't.
There were 5 games that are
Pulled
to
up.
be
Week
determined
15.
because there's a bunch of games that are
Correct.
set for that Sunday.
Yeah, so Bears-Browns is to be determined. Blech. Falcons-Panthers. Blech. Steelers-Colts. Blech. Broncos-Lions. Maybe. That could be good, actually. Vikings-Bengals to be determined.
All right, well, the Colts game, who do the Colts play again?
Steelers.
All right, so I mean, both
those
teams
are both
sort
playoff
of in the
contention
playoff
teams,
mix. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if Burrow's in, Vikings-Bengals undoubtedly is a primetime game.
Broncos
But with
Lions.
Burrow out, yeah, that changes things. I mean, I don't have the answer. I mean, I can tell you we'll find out 12 to 13 days prior, maybe 14 to 15 days. We won't find out in the next few days, but it's a very good question. Yeah, I could see some appeal Broncos-Lions as well.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, when I looked at those games a couple weeks ago, yeah, I thought, Vikings-Bengals was the clear-cut best of the 5. Now, over the last couple of weeks with things changing, yeah, you can make a case Broncos-Lions or Colts-Steelers having more appeal. Also on the Vikings, Caleb Evans told me in the locker room on Friday, for what it's worth, that he will be back on Monday night for the Bears game, that it's a short-term calf injury, but a calf injury, right? Like, that's another one of those tricky deals. Kevin O'Connell yesterday called him questionable, but I'm just telling you, for what it's worth, he told me verbatim, I put it on my Twitter, shameless plug, D. Wolfson, KSTP, the full conversation, that he feels like he'll be back on Monday. And, hey, you guys can give me grief on Jefferson because I said, hey, he'll be back here in November. I really thought he would be back on Sunday, but once he was limited on Thursday, we spoke on Thursday morning, so it was before the Thursday practice. Once he was limited, that he still is experiencing some soreness. He's running these straight line sprints, feels good in the moment, but it's hours later. There's still some soreness there. The cutting, some soreness. Like, it makes logical sense at this point. There's no reason to play him on Monday night, that the bye matters, that just bring him back December 10th in Vegas. But if you guys want to give me grief,
What does
go
Sports
ahead.
Dad tell you?
Because
What
I
does Sports Dad
suggested
tell you?
weeks ago. You did. You said December.
I
You
said the
said from
bye
the
week
get-go.
fits perfectly.
Yeah,
Yep.
we
You know
spoke
why?
on Tuesday, October 10th.
Uh-huh.
I'll give you credit there, Judd. We spoke on Tuesday, October 10th, 2 days after the injury. You said, hey, guess what? We'll see Justin in December. And I said in the moment, hey, I'm not so sure on that. I think November. But at this point, I really thought he'd be back for that Broncos game. But once he wasn't a full go in practice on Thursday, at that point, the signs pointed to him not playing on Sunday. Now, at this point, yeah, they'll ramp him up even more, see where he's at late in the week. Like, I'm not sitting here on Tuesday saying 0% chance 6 days from now, him not playing. But I'm just saying, like, logically speaking, it just makes sense, even coming off a loss, to give him the extra week. Don't play him Monday. Bring him back December 10th.
Zolgad MD is all I got to say.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's right. Sports Dad knew what he's talking about.
Thanks for the Vikings updates there. All right, let's go around the room here. We got about 5 to 7 minutes left.
All right, you want to do a little Wolves real quick before we do Turkey of the Year?
If you got some stuff, let's do it. Yeah.
Yeah, so Axios this morning has a report that there is, let me make sure I have this right, this private equity asset management group, the Carlyle Group, is in discussions with Mark Lowry and Alex Rodriguez about becoming investors. So I mentioned months ago a guy by the name of George Hicks, former Cargill executive. He runs a Minneapolis-based investment firm. So they are on board. Point is, I still will say this whole process has been wonky, but I've never once said it won't get to the finish line. It will get to the finish line because it's one heck of an investment. So Lowry, A-Rod, Lowry knows how to raise funds. They were always going to find investors. The question is, how many total investors do they bring on board? You can have up to 25. I don't know if it'll be quite 25, but I'll be curious to see the end number for the number of investors that Mark and Alex will be bringing on board. But I'm just saying, it is going to happen that Lowry and Rodriguez will eventually become the majority owners. Now, it may not be in March, as Glenn Taylor told me a few weeks ago on the Scoop podcast. It may be more like the summer, so heading into the 24-25 season. But there's no evidence to suggest that this thing is going to backfire.
Yeah, well, I agree. Like, it's too good of a deal at $1.5 billion.
Correct.
It's like
everybody knows that. The investors know that.
Together.
So they will be able to find enough investors. On Jaden McDaniels, I did check this morning with somebody who would know. No update this morning. I'd love to tell you I know definitively on Jaden McDaniels how long he'll be out. I mean, he turned that ankle pretty good. I mean, they ruled him out quickly after it happened last night for the rest of the game. So I guess I'll be surprised if he's out there like tomorrow night. Fun game tomorrow night at Target Center. Wolves against Sixers. The Wolves trying to get to 7-0 at home. But I just don't know the exact timetable on this Jaden injury.
Yeah. So every year since 1978, our legendary friend Patrick Royce has named a Turkey of the Year winner in the Star Tribune and previously in the Pioneer Press. Now, it started off in the 70s and like early 80s as kind of a national award. And then in the mid 80s, starting with Paul Giel with the Gophers, 1983, and then Les Steckel, 1984, he turned his attention largely locally. So the last handful of turkeys of the year, and he's always trying to throw you off the scent a little bit too. You think about the obvious choice, he's trying to zig when you're zagging. So last year he chose former Vikings running back Herschel Walker for his failed Senate candidacy. The year before that, it was head of Wolves basketball operations, disgraced head of Wolves basketball operations, and friend of the show, Gerson Rosas.
Hey, was Gerson at the game last night?
I don't know. I didn't see or hear anything.
Was Mrs. Rosas at the game last night? I don't know. I will tell you, Gerson, we've never knocked his basketball acumen, right? Pre-draft a few years ago, he loved Nickeil Alexander-Walker.
Yeah.
So it was pretty nice that Nickeil put on a nice little show last
Gerson
night
knows what Gerson
knows
knows how to build a team, man. He does.
Correct.
Mark Coyle, PJ Fleck in 2018. Royce named himself in 2017. So there's been, and then he had like a run of like 25 years of Timberwolves men's athletics at the U of M. So just like in 5 minutes here, I'm going to start the discussion. Every year we try to pinpoint who it might be. We try to throw out some candidates. Now, I think Rudy Gobert was close to the top of his list until the first 12 games this season. And he came on this morning, Royce did, and said, I mean, he's been incredible. He's been great. So I don't.
He has been. Yeah.
Now, could
Rudy
still give
can't
him
even
the
be
turkey?
at the table.
No, but you could from last year.
Anywhere in the vicinity of the table.
You could from last year. You could the punching and stuff, like you could easily zig there. PJ Fleck maybe a candidate again, but he just won it like 5 years ago.
No, you're not going to win again.
Not going to repeat
At the
him.
table, definitely not winning it.
I'll give you another name. Okay, this would be
And Mark
zigging.
Coyle, by the way, at the table, but Mark Coyle can't win it again. But you think about Coyle, right? Like
Lindsey
even the
Whalen.
volleyball coach. I think the volleyball coach is going to
Ooh,
succeed,
yeah.
but it's been a down year for volleyball.
Lindsey's-
Nobody is
Lindsey
showing up. Have you
Whalen.
seen the season ticket numbers for men's basketball dwindling by the day?
Who's there?
Right now, Plitzowite was a good hire. I have no doubt that Plitzowite was a good hire, but hey, there's a lot more to the hiring of Ben Johnson than maybe Mark Coyle could ever, publicly acknowledge. But that hasn't worked out. And Ben's my guy. I'm rooting for Ben, right? I've known him for a long, long time, but I need to acknowledge it's not working out. Then you think about the Gopher football team just, crapping on itself for a majority of this season, right? And Mark Coyle, publicly going to bat. And hey, I don't blame him. I mean, to me, you're not doing better than Fleck, but I think you could, there's some backlash there if you want. So I think Mark Coyle is at the table.
I mean, I'm going to say it again. Lindsey Whalen.
Yeah.
Fight me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't
She's
think
at
you would
the
ever
table.
do that. Oh, she might be at the table. but
I
she ain't gonna
love
win
her.
it.
She is a
Sure,
friend,
at
and
the-
I love her.
Yeah.
At the
I'm
very
thinking
lowest.
about Patrick. What would he do?
I would even throw in Bill Guerin. Bill Guerin has signed all these terrible contracts. Also a friend of the show. Should throw that out there. He has signed some terrible contracts. The Wild have basically next to nobody to trade at the deadline.
Yeah, they
because
do.
he handed out no trade clauses like they're candy.
No,
and the
you're
Wild
missing it. You're missing
stink.
it. You're so close.
Kirill?
You're so
Kirill?
close, dude.
Kirill's gonna be traded?
Kirill.
Something's up with
No.
Kirill. I'm worried about Kirill.
5 goals in 17 games.
Yeah, I'm worried about
Injured for a chunk last year. Can't lead
How
this
many
team
even
to
strength
playoff
goals for
success.
Kirill? Does John Merrill have
one.
as many even strength goals as Kirill?
Yes.
Yes.
Jake Middleton has more. But Royce lately he's thrown me off though. Like the Herschel Walker one really threw me off, and he's also picking more like groups at times.
Well, how about this one then? How about load management? Right, nice win for the Wolves on Saturday, but are you kidding me? The 23-year-old Zion Williamson
It's
couldn't
ridiculous.
play?
That's twice now.
I like load management.
Like what?
It's pretty good.
That's twice.
Oh, man.
The
He's
Pelicans.
ducking
Zion couldn't
He's
play.
ducking us.
I get it, he
T-Moyes, no
played
par?
on Friday. New
I
Orleans
know.
beats Denver on Friday. Really impressive win for New Orleans on Friday.
Yep.
Then Saturday comes, and he's 23 years old. Zion Williamson couldn't play on Saturday? So what about the idea of load management?
I could see him at the table. I could see him at the table. Yeah. Twins?
Good.
Tough to put a twin on there.
Yeah.
So you couldn't watch the Wolves game last night, am I correct?
Oh, Bally's. Yes.
Yeah, I was
Bally's.
thinking
Bally's.
and as a lifetime achievement
Oh,
award, let's
yeah.
get Dick at the table, okay?
Oh. He's going to use, oh my gosh. I hope he doesn't hear this. He's going to be pissed if I spoil
Yeah,
this.
no one clipped this.
I think he's,
Oh my God.
he likes to use acronyms. Like he used Trump as an acronym for like turkeys, something. What if he uses Bally, Bally, as an acronym for something? I could see that. I don't know if it's like the
BSN,
turkey, but
Bally Sports Network.
BSN.
Right.
Yes.
BSN.
BSN would be more
Oh, this is
likely
great.
than Bally's.
This is great.
And then you could get Bramer at the table. I mean,
Oh, man.
great career.
Oh man.
Now,
wow.
Now if Patrick streamed more, which I don't know how, because he doesn't complain about it a lot. I think that would be an easy one because he'd be effective. I couldn't. So I'm an Xfinity subscriber, so I should have access to Bally's through that, Dukes. And while I was in Iowa over the weekend and could stream both of the Wild games from Stockholm, although something's up with the picture where it pixelates for long periods of time and I can't get the picture. Last night I got shut out, so I actually had to put the game on my TV, which I didn't want to do because my contacts were out. I was laying in bed and couldn't see the TV, so I was going to watch the phone. So I was going to watch the phone like this. Instead, I watched football on the phone. So
This is
him.
This is the youngest and oldest Judd has ever sounded all in one.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, are
all
we
this-
sure it wasn't user error? That it is
Oh, positive.
Bally's? It's
Yeah.
not Judd.
No, I checked. I went on Twitter, and there were other people who are subscribers to cable, same problem, because I did check. And then Bally's sends a note if you tag them, hey, what's your zip code, blah, blah, blah. We'll troubleshoot it for you. We'll look at it. And I said, I gave up. Don't be concerned. But can you get your Wild announcers not to be such homers? Please talk to them.
0% chance on that. Yeah, 0.
But
Can I
they
give you
didn't-
two
they
more?
didn't get back to me.
Can I offer up two more that I wrote down?
Please. Yeah.
How about Joe Polad? So you're cutting payroll after making the playoffs?
Oh
Really?
yeah, dude.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
Pollad's
All right.
on there.
Joe,
Yep.
he's young, so yes, I
Yeah,
like
get
this one.
first timer, and I think wouldn't we be celebrating?
job,
Has Jim ever been? Carl
Carl
Pohlad was.
Carl was twice.
Carl
I
was
think
twice. Jim Pohlad never won it though. I was thinking this could be like a third generation winner, but he never gave it to Jim. I don't think.
Here's the other one. So TJ Hawkinson, like that rib injury is legit. So we can see how tough TJ Hawkinson is playing through this ribs injury. I saw him in the locker room on Friday.
Yeah.
You should have seen what he was doing post practice. The stuff he was taking off his midsection. He's got all this padding, all this protection. It is clear as I'm watching TJ Hawkinson, heck, for lack of a better way of describing it, undress on Friday in the locker room. You could tell
This
how
is a
much
scoop.
pain he is in.
Yeah.
Yet he missed all this time in August because of an ear infection.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. This is a good list here, guys. This
Bally's
is pretty good.
I really like Bally's. And,
think we're
and
onto something.
Joe
Yeah.
Pollad's good too.
Let us know in the YouTube comment section and tweet us other names we may be forgetting here. Okay. It's an annual tradition. We try to figure out, try to get on the scent of where Royce is thinking for Turkey of the Year.
Anything else coming to mind?
Cheryl Reeve?
This is off top of head.
Hasn't he wanted to put Cheryl Reeve on this list for a long time? She
Surprised
hasn't won. Is
it.
it true? She hasn't won a playoff series since Maya Moore left, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's only won a game. I think one.
Well, and I
playoff
mean, he
game,
was
right?
very pro tanking
Yes.
this year,
Yeah.
right?
Who was it?
Now we don't know if Paige. By the way, Cheryl was scouting Paige on Sunday here, right? I mean, she should have.
Yeah, a lot
But,
of that's going to
Like
be
we
now.
don't know for sure that Paige, that Caitlin Clark, right? I mean, there's so much money to be made NIL wise in school. Are they for sure going pro? But I guess if you know that Caitlin is going pro, that Paige is going pro, like maybe the Lynx should have lost more games. So yeah, I could see Cheryl being in the mix for sure.
Yeah. This is good here, guys. This is really good stuff. All right.
Although I
dudes,
still contend, as long as you have Nafisa, it was going to be hard to lose a bunch of games. Plus, a few other teams were in tank mode. So it was going to be hard to finish below those teams.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could see Cheryl because I think he was upset that they won too many games.
Yeah. Hey, Dukes, happy early Thanksgiving.
Happy
we got to run
Thanksgiving,
here.
boys. Yeah.
And if you
I
think of
love
any
you.
other names, text us. Okay.
Yeah. A couple more scoops. The 49ers and Packers will have scouting representation at Huntington Bank Stadium on Saturday for the Gophers and Badgers. Zarko Durasic, who was high up in the Wolves front office, he was lucky enough to get the Maui Invitational scouting duties.
Wow.
So it's in Honolulu, not Maui, with everything going on in Maui. But hey, heck of a scouting assignment. He is currently scouting for the Wolves. The Wolves do have their first round pick in June. He is right now in Honolulu watching. Heck, I stayed up late last night watching Marquette UCLA. That was a fun ending. Kansas is there. Tennessee, Purdue. Lots of NBA talent right now in Honolulu. So the Wolves have eyeballs on that.
Love it.
And what's the expense account? That's what I want.
It's a heck of an expensive
Give me another
account.
Mai
Yeah.
Tai. This kid looks good.
It's the greatest scouting trip ever. Trust me. Like people with the Wolves, every organization, they fight on a yearly basis.
I'm sure they
Please
do.
let me get that trip in November to Hawaii.
Yeah.
But anyway, Zarko Durasic has that trip right now.
Doogie,
See you, dude.
great stuff
Thank
from the
you.
5
right,
Eyewitness
boys.
News Sports Department.
Much love.
We'll see you next week,
Have a
man.
great Thanksgiving. See ya.
You too,
You
sir.
too, buddy. All right, that's a wrap here. Minnesota Sports with Mackie and Judd. Highly speculative.